All right. Hi there, everybody, and welcome to another season of Husker Heat. I'm Andy Ketterson, and my extremely excited daughter on the screen with me is Miley Ketterson, who's not tired at all and really thrilled to be here. Say hi to everybody, Miley.
Hi.
She's not the best color man in the world for nothing, folks. Uh, Sorry, that's a line from Major League. So we're here, and we're starting this after the tournament season has ended. For those of you who don't know what that is, just another, might be new to it. Real quick explanation. Basically, they just head mostly south to play a bunch of other teams, who aren't sure as heck aren't going to be coming up here in February and early March. And they're not really tournaments. The games count as regular season games. There's no brackets. There's no official winner. Maybe sometimes they pick a player of the tournament. I don't know. And if they did it this year, I didn't catch that. But anyway, they get a lot of games in against good teams. Like, for example, their first game of the year was against number 5 Tennessee, and they beat them 7-1. And unfortunately, haven't beaten a ranked team since. Given some good games. Probably the big heartbreaker was, I think that was in the same one where they're just rolling through it. They beat Tennessee. They clobbered 2 other not so great teams. They're up 5-0 on Texas Tech, and the wheels came off, and they ended up losing that one 6-5. Now I think Texas Tech, to be fair, I think they're the best team, or they're right there with the best teams in the Big 12 right now. Okay, they're not as good as Oklahoma, but I
They beat Texas, though.
Yeah, I think they've only lost like 2 or 3 games, so it doesn't look as bad as the season plays out. But boy, talk about one you really wish you had in your belt. We'll talk about where they are in the RPI here in a little bit, but because that's one that can really help you. But anyway, let's kind of get into it, and we'll just start by talking about this last weekend where they opened in Lincoln. It got off to kind of a dicey start. We had the little blizzard all in the wind all night, was it Wednesday, and then the wind all day Thursday. So they started by canceling the Thursday afternoon game with Northern Iowa, then just canceled the other one too, or postponed one of them, or postponed them. And then Friday they just canceled all the games, and then they just had everybody, instead of playing 5 games apiece, they played 4 games. Everybody played 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. I don't think I got out of the stadium on Sunday night till about, it had to be like 11:15 after the game ended, and did the write up and everything. But whatever, it's part of the job. Am I right? And so it's like, then the weekend started off. It's like they blast Northern Iowa twice, 14-1, 12-4. And then they start off, or beat Northern Iowa, then Northern Colorado, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Then beat Northern Iowa again on Sunday afternoon, 9-1. So 3 straight run rule games. And for those of you not familiar with the run rule, it's also the mercy rule. But if you're leading by 8 after 5 innings, let's say it's the top of the inning, the other team has to get their bats in the 5th. If that's over, you're leading by 8 or more, or the 6th inning, then game over. So they had 3 of those in a row, and then they put South Dakota State comes in, and I think I wrote in the preview, look out for these guys because they are scrappy. They came back. I went down to Wichita to watch us, and they took us to extra innings. We're cruising along like 4-0, and it just feels like, okay, we're not getting a lot of runs on these guys, but it's the 5th. We're all right. And then boom, grand slam. It's 4-4. Then they slap another run on, and I think it was the top of the 6th. Or the bottom of the 6th, and we were actually down to our last out in the top of the 7th, and Emerson Cope just hit an absolute blast over the right center field fence and tied it up, and then we put 3 on him and won it in extra innings. But I was kind of warning people, watch out for these guys, and it wasn't just them. They only lost by 1 run to Oklahoma State. They got clobbered by Missouri, but I think Missouri clobbered just about everybody except when we got the revenge win on them on Sunday, and then they split with Wichita State. So they really put on a pretty good show down there, and they came up here and got 2 runs on us in the first, down 2-0 right away, and we don't score. Then we tie it up in the bottom of the 5th. I think got another run in the bottom of the 6th, and we're kind of like, all right, we're fine. Nope, they're scoring. They tie it up. They send it to extra innings. I don't think do we each get 1 in the 8th?
I think so.
Yeah, and so we none of it was pretty. I think they got, they manufactured a run. Then Abby Squire, who we're going to talk about some later, hits a home run to tie it up. And then we got it in there were so many errors in that game, and they actually turned, I think each team had 3, and there were probably 2 or 3 more each that could have been called errors, but they called them, too hot to handle or bad hops or stuff like that, and gave them hits. And we loaded the bases. Was it with 1 out or no out? And I think it was with 1 out, and we just need Bella Bacon is up at the plate. We just needed to put it in play without popping it up, or hitting into a double play. And we've got to run in, and we got the game. And sure enough, deep grounded to second, hard hit, not too hard hit though. And they tried, but they couldn't even come close to turning 2 on that one when she was hustling down the line. And we pull out a 5-4 win. And and if you were there, here was the most unlikely part of it, was in the top of the 7th. Here we are up 1 run, and Jordy Ball's pitching, All-American, World College Series MVP, Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. Here's all the accolades. And batting for South Dakota State is the 154 hitter, no homers this year, 1 home run in her career, and she just promptly swats one over the left field fence off of Jordy Ball.
First inning, right?
What's that?
First inning, right?
No, that's the 7th inning. That tied it up.
They hit a home run right out of the gates.
Yeah, but that was like their cleanup hitter, 5th hitter. That was one of their pretty good hitters. No, this was like a 154 batting last in the order, and it's on her to go out there and hit one, and she does. And then that's what sent it to extra innings, and we're in the press box just kind of looking at each other like, this just isn't meant to be, is it? And we're going to get beat here. Fortunately, we didn't. But anyway, we came out of, let's see, where's the record here? We came out of that weekend. We are now 19-6, and we're ranked. There's way too many ranking services. There's 4 darn sets of rankings, and so we are 18th at ESPN, USA Softball. We are number 22 in D1 softball. We're number 21 in the NFCA. It's like the National Federation of Coaches Association, something, but it involves coaches. And then we're 20th in Softball America. Now, more importantly, here we are ranked in all 4 services, but the RPI comes out and we're at 42 because our schedule is like 97th in the country, which isn't as awful as it sounds because there's 303 teams. So it's not like, 97 out of 130 like football, and to be like, oh, we're in real trouble. But 42 isn't really where you want to come out, because you're on the bubble right away. In the 40s, you're on the bubble. And last year, that's kind of where we were after we got beat in the semis of the Big Ten tournament. And then we ended up not getting selected. And basically the reason is everybody selecting for tournaments does it like football now, and they'll do it they can do it for money, or more importantly, and this is our problem, if you have injury issues. And we were down to 1 healthy pitcher. And they knew that. And I think because several teams that we were better than, had a better resume, had done better head-to-head against out of the Big Ten, made it in. We didn't. So that was the only reason really that was left, was, they knew we only had 1 pitcher to go to nationals with. And because it was Sarah Harness, and she pitched every game in the Big Ten tournament. But so that's where we are. And I don't think with Jordy Ball, that's another plus of having her, is, let's say we're kind of on the bubble, they'll want her in the tournament. And that'll be one of the things that kind of pushes us in, where last year we didn't really have a standout first team All-America and, a lot of notoriety. So that'll help. Let's see, let me throw up here. I'll throw up some pictures, and I want to talk real quick about just who's statistically like really stepping it up for the team here. So let me flip over here. First, let's talk about Ava Cusack
this year.
What's that?
We've learned some new tricks this year.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Well, let's see. Yeah, look at me, all technology. I just actually found that today. All right, cool.
The old ass learning the technology.
Hey. Well, I was on Monday Night Therapy. Minnie was hosting for John last night, and I was her, faithful sidekick, and I saw that kind of going on, so I actually did look for it. But anyway, here's Ava Cusack. She's a transfer from Wisconsin, has 3 seasons left. And we were really wondering, what are we going to do without Billy Andrews in the lineup? Just incredible career, the Nebraska career home run leader. And all Ava Cusack has done so far is hit 12 home runs. I think Billy hit like maybe 19 or 20 last year when she set the career record. But Ava's batting .457, has a .540 on. She's leading off. She's just basically stepped into Billy's shoes, playing short, leading off. Only thing she doesn't do is steal bases, but has 12 homers and 31 RBIs out of the leaddoff spot.
She doesn't need to steal bases if all she's doing is hitting home runs.
Right? No kidding. Let's see. I mean, here's the wild numbers. She's got a slugging percentage of 1,057, and I mean, you're getting into the 700s slugging. You're knocking the ball pretty good, and then the OBP, which is on base plus slugging. Holy moly! Hers is 1.597, and anything over one's kind of insane. So that gives you an idea of just the power numbers she's putting up. Now, what we needed to start doing is putting them up against good teams. That's kind of a theme that played out a lot. Is sure, we're throwing 20 runs on the likes of Texas Corpus Christi, but we're not. But then once we scored 7 on Tennessee, it seemed like we couldn't get more than 2 or 3, 2 on any decent team until Missouri last weekend in Wichita. And so we need her to start doing that. We not just having 2 home runs and 6 RBIs against. I don't want to make fun of every outmatched school we've played, but she's been successful. And then let's talk about Abby Squire. I think this is Abby here, and yeah, that's after she hit a home run, and she was lost last season. She'd been the starting left fielder the previous 2 seasons, I believe. And then she got injured and out for the year right before last season began. I would say her rehab went extremely well. Abby's batting in what Rhonda likes to call her second cleanup spot, because Billy wasn't driving in a lot of runs because nobody in the bottom of the order is really getting up. So she started trying to find hotter hitters and put them in the 9 spot so Billy could have runners on base more and try to get some RBIs. Well, Abby's batting in the 9 spot, and she is she's getting Ava some of those 31 ribbies because she's hitting .420, taking a lot of walks. Her on base is .531. She hit 7 homers. Their 7th one was 2 nights ago to keep the game going in the 8th inning after South Dakota had scored. And she's got 18 RBIs. Abby's slugging .920 and has a 1,451 OBP. It's just nuts. Your 9 hitters doing that doesn't really create much relief for the other team's pitchers. And then finally, and I think and then I didn't have a shot of her, but Olivia DiNardo, we brought her in. She's a catcher. You say we already had a pretty good catcher, and Ava Bredwell. And the 2 of them, though, are playing in most of the games. Ava's off to, after having the 2nd highest average on the team last year, Ava's off slumping. I think she's hitting a little under 200. But Olivia's hitting .411. Olivia DiNardo. Where did she transfer from? Was that Arizona State, maybe? I don't know. I think it was Arizona State. Not 100% sure off the top of my head. But she's hitting .411. Only 3 homers. Arizona. Okay, thank you, Miley. So she'll probably pick it up, but she's still hitting .411, and she's usually hitting cleanup. And again, here's somebody with a 643 slugging percentage, a 500 on base percentage for a 143 OBP. Just nuts. And then nuttiest of all, and hey, I bet you thought we weren't going to talk about Jordy Ball tonight.
No.
Miley, how impressive has Jordy Ball been this season so far?
Pretty damn impressive.
Right. Now her pitching numbers are Jordy Ball pitching numbers. She's 10-3 with a 1.44 ERA, and let's see, she's in 77 2/3 innings. She struck out 95 and only walked 19. So we're getting numbers there. Now, I will say she's a friend of mine noticed, hey, is she having a little few problems with giving up dingers this year? She has given up 8 home runs. And just to compare Jordy's numbers, the rest of the staff, they're 9-3, but their ERA is 3.02. And again, for the rest of the staff, that's not bad. And then but they've only struck out 51 and they've walked 25, and they've pitched about as many innings, 74 and 2/3, where Jordy's pitched 77. So Jordy's pitched a little more than the rest of the staff. Hannah Kamenzen's basically the number 2 starter. We don't really have a number 3 starter. Originally, the number 2 starter was Kylie McGee, but she's having problems. She's coming off a wrist injury in her throwing hand. That might be part of it, but she's just getting behind on batters, and Rhonda finally had to pull her from that regular rotation, and now she's just trying to get her into games and hopefully get her confidence back. Caitlin Owinski, who led the team in ERA last year, has only pitched 6 innings. She's working back from a pectoral injury, which will affect your throwing motion. So she's trying to work back too. So after Hannah Kamenzen, and Hannah and her sister Laura transferred from Arkansas, but they're from Gretna, I believe. So they basically came home. Emerson Cope, Hannah's taken the number 2 spot, and Emerson Cope is the first reliever in usually if Jordy or Hannah doesn't come in to relieve. And she I think has had 1 spot start, but I think they're trying to roll with 2 starters. And as you've seen, Jordy's going to throw at least half the innings, so that's what they're going to do with that. But that's our players and who's really stood out to start the season. And no surprises from Jordy. I would say Ava's been a surprise, but she was very good. She led Wisconsin in a lot of hitting categories as a freshman last year, and Abby hitting 420. And now when you've been doing it through 25 games, you're approaching the midpoint of the season. Will be coming up in a few weeks, and so that's being pretty consistent. We'll see how the season goes as far as that. But anyway, getting back to their RPI, Nebraska's here, like their best wins were, number 5 Tennessee, and they haven't had one close to that. That was the first game of the season, and right now Missouri's going to end up looking like a pretty good win. They're at number 40 now because after they went 4-1 down in Wichita, they came out this last weekend and went and started they started SEC play, and they got swept by Kentucky. So now they have a losing record, but they're number 40, which tells you something. And that's because they've currently played the 4th toughest schedule in the country. And you're going to see a lot of those in the SEC. How many went to the tournament from the SEC last year, Miley? Do you remember?
I don't know.
I almost want to say it was everybody, or maybe it was all.
It just means more.
What? Oh God! Don't start that shit. I don't need that, man. I'm tired too, and I don't want to start cursing too uncontrollably just yet. Now, the thing is, they don't really have a bad loss. Everybody who's beaten them has been ranked, but what that makes them, I think, is 1-5 against ranked teams, and so they've got to start turning that around. Because if they can turn that around and move their RPI up, up where their ranking is and a little higher, then you got a chance to host the regional, or I guess the top 32, top 16 host the regional, and then you can, and if you're still ranked that high, you can host a super regional. But that'd be fun to host, because I kind of made up my mind when I didn't go to Stillwater 2 years ago, and I missed the best Husker game I ever watched, when they came back in a high scoring game and beat Wichita State in extra innings. And I was just kicking myself because I went to Stillwater the year before, and I'm just like, it's kind of a junky place. And they keep a lot of there's a lot of farms or animal pens just kind of ringing the campus. Yeah, and that's the face you kind of make when you get there. And I'd be like, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'll go anywhere. I'll fly to Tampa.
Does it smell like shit?
What's that?
Did it smell like shit? That
would be the odor, yes. And yeah, I don't know if there was any pig shit involved, but definitely some cow shit and horse shit.
Yeah, that's what Fremont, Nebraska smells.
Yeah, that's true.
Shit.
Stillwater's a little worse. Well, I thought it was funny that when Matt Rule was hired, and he was just going off how he's fantastic, how he was great. He was going to recruit with a Nebraska brand name behind him before it was like Temple and Baylor. and then just being able, because he was just blown away by Lincoln, how nice Lincoln is, and so he's like, can't wait to take it. It really is. You go to some other, let's just put it this way, Wichita State last weekend, again, another place where I'm just kind of like, people are really, really nice, but it's not a pretty place. And it's
People
not
just don't know how to drive here.
What's that?
People don't know how to drive in Lincoln.
Well, who cares? They're college
I do.
students. Half of them aren't going to be driving anyway.
Not
every college student's got a car.
I'm not
But
talking about college students.
well, but Matt Rule is. That's from a recruiting perspective. Lincoln, it's a nice college town. It's got a really nice looking campus. And then he went like, yeah, because you go to places like Stillwater, and he like, there he is like firing strays at Stillwater, and I'm like, yes, I hear you, Coach Matt Rule. Stillwater, and people were really nice there, so I doubt anybody from Wichita or Stillwater. I'm checking out this Husker. I'm going to check out this Husker softball pod. I'm not too worried about that, but if you are, everyone was really nice. You guys are great. Just don't put too many postcards together with pictures of your place. Anyway, let's stop insulting Stillwater and Wichita for a minute, because I'd rather do it to a school I hate, and I don't really have anything much against those two.
Like
but anyway, go ahead.
I said like Iowa City.
There you go. They're happy to rip those hillbillies. So let's move along. Hey, I'm actually making some good time here. Just to let everybody know, we usually try to keep this show in the 30 to 45 minute range. So we're doing good on time right now. Let me check the comments real quick, because there's a couple there. Let's see what we got. Vince Watson is here. Good evening, all. Good evening, Vince. Vince pops into, well, let's see. I can't remember if Vince was jumping in, because in the summer when softball's over, I do a sports movie pod. And then during football, for the first time last year, I started my first football pod, Huskers Happy Hour.
Andy likes to talk.
What's that?
I said, hence Andy likes to talk.
Crazy that a guy who likes to talk is doing a podcast. I am helping others by doing this, because I get it out of my system. And then if I go for a celebratory drink afterwards, I'm not ripping everybody's ears off, because I've kind of expended the energy. Okay. You may. Oh, let's see. And then Mike Lilly says, "Go Big Red." Damn right. Go Big Red. That's our sign off. And then, who is this Connor person, Miley?
I
believe you know him.
No.
I wish I'd copy I'll get that picture on next week, because Connor Connor's Miley's boyfriend, for those of you that don't know, but he made that was him that made that little cartoon, right?
Yeah.
And it's a really funny one about how just how men's sports tend to make us sad lately, but how women's sports make us happy. It is actually pretty funny. I'll pop that on here next week. But let's see.
I got a response from you when I sent it too.
What's that?
When I sent that meme to you last week, I got no response.
Well, you hardly ever respond to anything I send you. I respond a hell of a lot more than you do.
I hardly ever respond to anyone.
Yeah, well, so you don't respond to anyone. You can't get on my shit for not responding to you.
I just reacted, ha
ha. I told you I laughed.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to accept that for now. What's the T-shirt you're wearing?
ACHA.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell. What? Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. ACHA Nationals. Nice. Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was at first. I thought it was like an New York Islanders T-shirt. What?
2021.
Oh, 2020. Yeah. Oh, when you played Liberty. Yeah. Right?
No, this was in my notes.
Oh, that was 19.
No, that was 2022.
No, Liberty was your freshman year. When you played them in like the best 2 out of 3 first round.
Oh, that was my first. That was 2019. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's review Ohio State real quick. For anybody that thought they'd be, getting a break right out of the gate. I don't know if you remember, but Ohio State last year finished pretty hot, and apparently they've just hit the ground running where they left off. They are 17-5-1 right now.
They're 18-5-1.
Oh, they won. Did they win one today? I bet they did. I bet they played like a midweek today.
Give me a sec, dude.
Huh?
I said, give me a sec.
Okay.
They beat Notre Dame today, 3-2.
Okay. Yeah. So when I looked this up, that game was probably going cool. So now they're 18-5-1, and I bet they've moved up a little in the RPI, but they're
They only
they're higher than us. They're number 30.
they only lost 4-2 to Texas too.
Yeah. So yeah, I think they've got their hitters that I put down to watch out for, and it wasn't just like their highest 3 batting average. A couple others caught my eye. They have a gal, Jasmine Burns, I believe. I can't read my own writing sometime, but she's hitting 531 with 9 homers, 26 RBIs. So she's kind of being their Ava Cusack. Or I forgot to tell you Jordy Ball's hitting stats. Let me jump those in real quick. Jordy is leading the team in batting average, hitting 514, 9 homers, 27 RBIs. She's got the highest slugging percentage on the team, 1,097, and so her her OBP is 1,658. That is double. That's like a very good OBP doubled. So she's hitting second. Ava's hitting first. She's hitting second, and in between them, they're hitting about 480 or 490. That's tough to stop. But anyway, Jasmine's hitting 531, and then there's a Morgan Fry who's hitting 341. And there's several girls hitting higher than her. They've got some hitters, but she's got a good eye because her on base is 525, so she's walking a lot. And then
they also beat Missouri 7-2.
Who did?
They also beat Missouri 7-2.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. This is going to be a rough weekend. And then you've got a Harley Parisian. She's only hitting 300, but she's got 8 homers, and her also Lutton Walker. Her on base is 447. So, and she's one that'll come in and smack a homer, and I'm guessing she probably hits like somewhere like seventh in the order, and she's going to hit a bomb, and people are going to go, what the hell's up with that? That's what's up. She's got power, but she doesn't swing wildly. And they've got one pitcher, and if we don't face her, everybody else, it looks like, can be gotten to. That the rest of them seem to put a lot of runners on base. Her name is, I'm going to go at Lauren, and I'm going to say Beauty because it's Butie. So I figure Beauty's better than Buddy. But she is 9-3, 263 ERA. And she has struck out 65 and walked 16. She's striking out about a batter an inning, and she's letting less than 1 runner on base. There's a stat called WHIP, which is hits and walks divided by innings pitched. You like to keep that as close to 1 as you can. You don't want to be really letting barely more than 1 runner on base at a time in an inning. If you've got a WHIP of 2, you've probably got a lot of losses and a nice high ERA to go with it. So that's who we're looking. That's who we're facing. They are just outside of
freshman too.
What's that?
Lauren Beauty's also a freshman as well.
Oh yes, she is. And Ohio State right now, they are ranked 27th, 30th, 32nd. So they're getting votes in all the polls, and their RPI is sitting at 30. This is going to be a tough weekend. This is one where you find I mean, last year I realized I'm finding a reason to say it every week, but this one's important, damn it, because they only have like 1 win against a quality team. Well, 2, like I said, I fully expect Missouri to move up some. I think they'll be. I would be surprised if they weren't in the rankings again by the end of the year. They are a big team. They have a lot of girls that are like 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot. And we're not at Nebraska.
Basketball team?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm glad we're playing these girls in softball. I was talking to like Nebraska's grad assistant coach, and I just said, man, I'm glad we're playing these guys in softball and not basketball. Holy crap. Like their leadoff hitter was their catcher, who was like 6 feet tall. And we're not a big team. I think the only 6-footers on our team are Bella Bacon and Emerson Cope. Like Jordy looks tall, but she's 5'7", 5'8". So I didn't realize that this is the first time all year that I'm, when I was at Wichita, where I'm just kind of walking among them, just because they're just waiting behind the stands, to get in the dugout between games. And I'm like, usually I'm kind of used to some of the softball team, being I'm 6'1", at least being up there close to me. And this time I just felt like, everybody's down here, but that their power. They may not be 6 feet, but we're leading the NCAA in home runs right now. We're powerful right now. We've hit 53 home runs, and our opponents have hit 14 combined. And I was even looking at that on Sunday, and it was like, well, let's see, we got 53 or 54. South Dakota State's hit 15. Northern Colorado's hit 17. No one else was over 20, and we're in the 50s. Let's see if we can keep it going in the conference. But yeah, so Lauren Beauty, but that's I'd be surprised if we didn't see her on Friday and Sunday, and that one's in Columbus, and I'm assuming it's going to be on B1G Plus.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a it is a pay service, unless you happen to catch that they were trying to give it to USC fans for free,
and UCLA and Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, like all they're
giving
all
the new
free.
Teams.
But somebody stumbled on the USC tweet, and everybody in the conference just started signing up for free. What was it? 2-3 days later, they announced, "Oh, we can no longer offer this promotion."
That's how I got my membership.
Me too. Yay! and it was
cancel it so it doesn't renew for $90.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah, you got to do that. But I got to remember to cancel my Flow softball, so I only paid for the 1 month for the Clearwater tournament. But yeah, so we got it for free, and it was kind of early summer, so it's good through softball season. Yeah, that's sweet. But anyway, the rest of you got to pay if you want to watch. But it's not very it's not very much, and you can do it monthly or annually.
It's like $9 if you like. I think that's for like the lowest, where you pick like one sport and one school or something.
Yeah, I think if you pick one school, and then you can watch a lot of sports is the way to go. Unless you just really love Big Ten softball, and then get it and watch all the Big Ten softball you want. When you put in how much you're going to be using it, it is pretty cheap. Not to sit here and promote, the Big Ten Plus, like I'm getting a freaking, any money for it. Just saying for your pleasure. What's that?
So that'd be nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, softball.
We've hit the half-hour mark, so let's get into what I want to finish with and just talk about some of the storylines that are playing about this season, and throw your opinions up if you want. Oh, my buddy Tiger Shark Diver, TSD getting in with a Go Brig Greg. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. But yeah, if you have any comments on it, throw yours in there. The first one I want to start with, and just because I kind of feel bad for it, but yeah, it's Division I softball. It's a big boy sport. Your coach, if your coach is honest, and I remember Matt Rule saying this, is I'm going to recruit you, and I'm going to tell you to come here, and then once you're here, I'm going to try and find somebody better. So you better work to stay the best if you want to keep starting. Well, Caitlin Canada has been was the starting second baseman for the last 2 years, her freshman and sophomore year. Her freshman year, she hit, I think, like about 360. 370, something like that, as a freshman, batting low in the order. Last year, it dropped to, she had some nice streaky moments, but her average dropped about 100 points to 268. Basically, she's had 9 at-bats this year, and starting at second now, who has that spot down is Lauren Kamenson, and that's her spot. I think she's got a nice batting average going, and she's just come in and taken over. Canada is doing like a lot of, she's one of the pinch runners they pull off, so it's not like she's not playing at all. But yeah, that's that has to be kind of rough just to lose your job and keep fighting through it. And I would say use 2024 as an example for anyone who finds themselves in that position. 11 injuries of the 25 people on the roster. Just go out there, bust your butt. You never know what's going to happen. So Caitlin, we're rooting for you. And then one thing I noticed this year, we have the DP in softball, the designated player, and they can actually hit for anybody. Well, if Jordy or Hannah are pitching and they're getting most of the innings, they're batting too. So the position that's not hitting this year is center field. And Nessa McMillan, a freshman from Blair, I believe, has been playing a lot of center field. Natalia Hill's been getting some starts out there. And then they're just going and staying on the bench when the Huskers are batting, so they can get another big bat out there. And it's interesting with Nessa McMillan. She was actually, I think, one of 50 players to watch nationally on one of the ranking services, but just lists that they put out for everything before the season starts. And she hit over 500 in high school. And that gives you an idea of the power the Husker bats this year. Is you've got somebody who hit over 500 in high school. And she's coming in, she's playing, she's starting and playing center field. The bats are so heavy this year right now. She can't, she can't get up to hit. I would say she might be starting and hitting for just about any other team in the Big Ten right now. Who knows? But I just thought that was like a little weird, interesting type thing that center field's not really a position you usually think of as, hey, we're going to bat somebody for. You're probably thinking like a weak hitting infielder or a catcher, something like that. But interesting. Now, one of the especially if you happen to watch did you watch the South Dakota State game Sunday night, Miley?
Yeah.
What did you think about the fielding?
Kind of shit.
Yeah, well, I was going to say garbage because the Huskers are my team, but yeah, and they've had an issue with that this year. Ava Cusack has 7 errors. It feels like more. I think they've marked some up as errors, gone back and then changed them to hits because there were a few early on that I thought, okay, that was a bad hop, like the winning hit against that Texas Tech got off, and that one wasn't so much she whiffed it. When I watched a replay of that one just kind of took a funny hop and like had a mind of its own getting around her glove. But there was like Sammy Bland, who'd been having a great weekend fielding, scoops one up and then just threw one wild. South Dakota State was booting them all over the place.
That happened a lot during the Northern Colorado game too. It seemed like all of the throws going towards Jordy at first, they were just bad throws or Jordy was just missing them. So it was kind of an all weekend thing.
Yeah, and there was one where Bella, it was like, it looked like, she had to stretch a little in one direction, but that hit her glove and she just didn't catch it. Mm-hmm. And they correctly gave that one to her. Yeah, Jordy's been making a lot of like leaping grabs and swinging the glove back and getting tags on people. I saw her do that, I think twice this weekend or twice on Sunday. And they've got to clean that up. That's how in softball you can really separate yourself. Like when good teams play each other is a lot of times it comes down to, in those games, who's finally not going to be able to handle a hot one or who's going to throw one away when that's the last thing you need. So that's an area they've got to clean up. And I've been getting a lot of comments, seeing some comments, on Twitter in response to games. Cause I'll be the one like tweeting out about softball when games are going on. If you see that on the Corn Nation Twitter account. But yeah, that's something that you've got to clean up. The next thing I want to talk about is this is something a few people have been commenting on, and I've got thoughts on it, but I'm gonna check with yours first. Is Jordy getting tired because she had a couple of rough outings? Obviously, it's not taking her over with the 1.44 ERA. However, that she has 16 earned runs, but she's been tapped around like with 2 outs a few times where an error caused any run. Because then if somebody's committed an error, once you get to 2 outs, any run after that is unearned. It's because that error for making that rule, the error is considered what should have been the 3rd out of the inning. So once the 3rd out is considered, like if there's 3 errors made and the bases are loaded, all the runs are going to be unearned because in the scorekeeper's mind, those should have been 3 outs. But anyway, let's see. With Jordy, they were wondering if, hey, here she is playing first and running around, on the bases. Is that tiring her some as a pitcher? Or, she's coming off an injury. Are we risking that? What are your thoughts on that, Miley?
I don't think it's tiring her out. I mean, no, I don't really. Yeah, I don't know why people think it would be.
Yeah, first of all, it's softball. I would understand it maybe if she was playing the outfield. What's that?
Yeah, I was gonna say if she's playing the outfield, there's more running with that. But with first base, I mean,
yeah,
she's not like moving all over the place.
I mean, I've played all over the place, but first base is a pretty lazy position.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would consider it almost. Geez, I compare because I pitched a lot too, and I was like, they're pretty even. Like pitching, even in slow pitch, you're throwing a lot more. In baseball, I guess you're exerting yourself more there. And sure, you've got to play some defense on the balls hit at you and stuff like that. But there's very little running around. And I guess it really started firing up in that 10-9 game against Missouri, where she went the distance, gave up 9. I think 7 were earned. But here's the thing: in the 7th, she struck out the side, so she sure didn't look tired. and the wind was blowing straight out to left. And I actually had a chance to ask Rhonda that at a press conference last Tuesday after they got back. And I'd forgot, like the game started and I was going, wow, make a note about that wind blowing out to left. And then I kind of blew it off writing the recap. And I asked her and she said, there are two things. She goes, one, that wind's firing out to left. And so there was a couple of home runs, one like by each team, I think, where they were line drives that just never came down. The wind just kind of carried them out once they got up. And also she said there was a pitch that's one of her favorite pitches. She wasn't going to give up the ghost and tell me which one. And she said that's the one they tagged for like 3 home runs. And so they finally said, all right, quit throwing that. And let's just move to a different mix, especially on, what was her name? Madison Wilkins or Williams? Wilkins was the stadium. So maybe it was Wilson. But she was one in that last inning. Jordy comes up and Wilkins has gone 2 for 6 or 3 for 3 with 2 homers and 6 RBIs. And then she goes 3-0 on her, comes back, gets her to take one, foul one off, and then she throws a low one, and she couldn't stop her swing. But yeah, she comes in, struck out the side, and that's a day where she threw probably a lot of pitches, so it didn't look tired in the 7th at all. She's playing first base, and as Rhonda said one time, which I thought was really funny, was like, try telling her that you just want to rest her, and she goes nuts. She doesn't want to ever come out. She absolutely doesn't want to sit out a game, and I think she's just such a highly conditioned athlete that she's going to be fine. And I'm kind of amazed. I mean, she's got it all. She's got power. She's got at the plate. Pitching speaks for itself. At the plate, she's got power. She's got speed. She's leading the team in stolen bases with 4 or 5. Anyway, and anybody, if she's on second, any hit to the outfield, she's just pretty much going to be, halfway past third by the time they start to throw the ball. I knew she was a great pitcher. I didn't know she was that great of an athlete. So, hey, nice little Christmas present for Huskers softball there. And then the last thing I want to talk about before we go, Abby Squire, holy cow, injured last year. I mentioned it before, but injured last year, missed the entire season, and has come out as just, who is this person? It kind of reminded me of stories like, I want to know what went on in that rehab room, because Tom Osborne actually handled the rehab when he was an assistant coach for Bob Devaney. And Devaney noticed that the players were coming back from injury and beating out the starters and were in better shape than everybody, because Boyd Epley, who ended up running their strength program, Osborne had got him to come in and work with him in the rehab. And those were the guys that were really the initial Huskers that really just started hitting the weights in the weight room. Yeah, and coming out, yeah, because he's like, I'm like, what the hell is going on? These guys are coming back stronger than they went. I remember Abby Squire being a solid hitter. Abby Squire was not a 420 hitter that, it had with like what looks like it's going to be about 15, 16 home run power. So I wonder if she wasn't just rehabbing, she was lifting and working some muscles that hadn't been lifted. I'd kind of remind myself I want to ask her that next time I have a chance to talk to her. But, I mean, you've seen her play. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Damn.
Tell them some more while I get a drink of Propel. That's right, folks. Andy's still drinking Propel.
Andy has not stopped drinking Propel for years. Jesus.
I've missed the last 2 trash collections when it's the every other week when they pick up the recycle trash can. That thing is filled to the rim, and it's 98% Propel bottles. But anyway, here we go. We do have a thought. Tiger Shark Diver. We can beat Oklahoma. You know what? I think we could. I think we could beat Oklahoma. I mean, we're not scheduled. We wouldn't see them unless it, probably got to the, a regional or the College World Series. But yeah, because if Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are in it, we generally get sent to Oklahoma State. That's the last 2 times we've gone. That's where we've gone. And come on, move us around a little. But yeah, I don't disagree. I'd say most of the time Oklahoma would probably beat us, but I don't think it would be the miracle Herb Brooks speech. If we played them, if they played 9 times, if we played 10 times, they'd win 9. Yeah, but 7, I would say 7, 8. But we're capable. like to think we could do something like that this year. I think Tennessee proves we can play with anybody because we beat them, and they're still hanging right there at number 5 in the country behind. Who are the tops? Like Oklahoma, Texas, Florida. Trying to think who would be. Oh, UCLA, I think was number 4. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, we did play. Yeah, I should have mentioned, but I'll cut us loose here. But I should have mentioned. We did play UCLA. I don't think it would have, since it was one of those tournaments. It wouldn't have counted as a conference game, and neither team started their ace pitcher. We didn't start Jordy. I forget that was their number 2 we faced, but it was like both managers, I think, were playing the long game, even though as much as everyone would have loved to see that matchup, they're probably going, well, the only time we're not playing each other in conference. Yeah, imagine a conference schedule where you're going to play maybe barely more than a third of the teams in the conference because you have to do the 3-game weekends, and now there's 18 teams, and I guess 7 or 8 conference weekends maybe, if that. But I think they were going, I don't want them to get a look at her until the Big Ten tournament should we meet in the final. And right now, that would kind of be the odds on that would be the odds. It would be Nebraska and UCLA in that final. And yeah, I'd like to go there and see that matchup if we get that far. But anyway, that is all we have for the evening. I know Miley would like to get to Betty by or at least a prone position on the couch. Any final thoughts?
In bed.
What's that?
In bed.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Any final thoughts?
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. That is how we go. And so therefore, thanks everybody for listening in. I see we had a nice little crowd watching tonight, and hopefully we'll see. It's going to be for the rest of the season every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Go on YouTube Live, Twitter, or Facebook and watch. And other than that, thanks. Go Big Red. We really appreciate you guys, and we will hopefully see you next week with good news about sweeping Ohio State. Screw the Buckeyes.
Okay.
But go Big Red. Good night, everybody.